All right, this is jpeg2RAW, show number 78, and tonight we are going to do a Topaz Labs demo with Greg Rostami. I say that right?
Yes.
Good. I'm not going to be able to say it again and get it right. Greg and I had a great pre-show interview a week or so ago, or earlier this week, or no, last week. Great pre-show. It was the first Google Plus Hangout, and we had a great time. Before we get to him, though, I want to go over a couple things. We're going to have three things we're going to give away to the live viewers, and we're going to announce the winner of the Topaz Lab plugin bundle that we had the giveaway for the last 2 weeks. The sign up for the giveaway for the last 2 weeks. For that. And the other thing is, right now, the actual JPEG2RAW servers are down. The ones that we use over on the West Coast that host us and thousands of other people is down. I don't know what's going on, but you can, if you're listening to us, you already know this, so it's not going to do much good. But you can always go over to the live stream page, actually over on live stream, and get us there, or Justin TV, or right now we're even on YouTube, so you can get us in one of those places. But the place to be is right now is probably live stream is the best place to see, so I can see you logged in. And I wanted to show you a few things on the page that we changed differently to help you view it better, which has nothing to do with why the servers are down. But I can't show you that until they're up. If they come up during the show, I'll let you know, and you can jump over there if you need to. I think it's easier to watch over on JPEG2RAW than it is on live stream, but you can watch it there. And the live stream one we're broadcasting to is mobile friendly, so you can still watch it using mobile over there. And I've actually got the Twitter feed up on my left-hand side, so I'm watching all of the people talking about DreamHost being down right now. So no ads for DreamHost.
Hopefully you'll see somebody post it's back up.
What's that?
Hopefully you'll see somebody post that it's back up.
Yeah, so last time I saw this happen, it took like a day.
Oh. Which
is great. That's just awesome. So, but I don't want to spend too much time on that because we have a big show tonight. We have a lot to go over. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things. Don't forget to send your email to scott@photokarate.com. We have that in the show notes from last week. You can go look at that. Send him your email before the end of March so you can be in it to win the SEO 2 items that he's giving away. I think a book and membership into their training course or something like that. Whatever it was. That's very important. Go over there and look at that and send your email. I've actually put a comment in the Facebook group where you can go there and you can say, you know, I gave you a tip on here, send this to him. That's something you can say or ask him. Later tonight, and we're probably going to do one up here pretty soon, we are going to give away the plugin bundle. We're going to give away the black and white effects, adjust, and detail, all from Topaz Labs. And I'm going to split those out throughout the show. So we're going to do one early, one in the middle, and one at the end. And the bundle is actually going to be toward the end of the show. All right. Anything else I need to go over? Oh, and I guess tonight, Greg, this is like I mentioned, we did a pre-show earlier last week. This is the second time using Google Plus, and he's already a master. All right, Greg, with that, I am going to turn it over to you. And if you want to go ahead and get started, and why don't you first, how many different packages are we going to be going over tonight? Because Topaz has a lot of different software.
Yeah, the main Topaz bundle is actually 10 different plugins or 10 different filters. We're going to go over, I would say maybe about 5 or 6 of them, and okay, we might actually be able to even go over all of them.
Wow.
Because we do have quite a bit of time.
Wow, yeah. And are these plugins for Lightroom, Photoshop Elements, or what are they for?
Yeah. Actually, the Topaz plugins work with Photoshop Elements, Lightroom, Aperture, iPhoto. On the PC side, or I should say the Windows side, they work with many products that support Photoshop filters. I mean, in fact, there are many even free products that support Photoshop filters that we work in great.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was looking at that before, and I knew it was Photoshop. I wasn't sure about Lightroom or not.
Yeah.
But that's very good. And Photoshop Elements. So that's if you got Photoshop Elements, Lightroom, and Photoshop, and then you said Aperture also, you've covered just about 90% of the people out there.
Right.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will let you get started.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. First of all, I want to, extend a big thank you to Mike and everybody else in the jpeg2RAW group. Thank you for having us here. I thank you for having me here. And what I'm going to go over today with you is the demonstration that I usually do at trade shows, because I believe that it covers a lot of ground in a short period of time. But also, because we are in an environment where I can talk more in depth about certain features, I will definitely talk more in depth about it. So the photo that I'm really famous for starting a demonstration with is this photo right here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here so you can see it. There it is. It's a very, very, very dark photograph. In fact, I'm going to quit out of the slideshow over here just so you can see it the way that it sits right now. I took this photo with a small Casio camera that you can buy for about $100, and it is a JPEG. So that's the before and that's the after. And really, that's not a joke. That's the reality. That's really the before image there, and that's the after. Now, everybody knows that if you take a really dark photo and you try to brighten it up in Photoshop or any other way, you're going to end up with all the noise and the grain. So the real magic of the first thing we're going to show you right now is how do we remove all the noise and then brighten it so that you can get a wonderfully fully exposed photograph. So here we go. Let's start with our very dark photo. And I'm going to start out actually with Photoshop doing this, but you're welcome to do this in any of the products that we support at Topaz Labs, so like the ones that we just went through right now. Right. So there's the dark image right there. Now, first of all, before I do anything else, I do want to show you that this is definitely a JPEG. Topaz supports the quality that comes from RAW as well, but the JPEG is the worst case scenario, and that's why I usually have to start out with it. Very, very dark image. Next, we're going to give ourselves some extra room to work with, which means that instead of operating at 8 bits per channel, I'm going to operate on the image at 16 bits per channel, which is going to give me some room to grow in. And it's now time to get rid of the noise. So we'll just jump into Topaz Denoise to do that. All right, so here we are in Topaz Denoise. Usually what happens at this point is that you're just going to start playing around with certain presets of noise. So there are very, very light or moderate ways of getting rid of the noise. That's a pretty severe one right there. But let me just tune in to something that's going to be a little bit more moderate here. It's probably right about there. Should be pretty good. Let's bring it up just a little bit more. There we go. So what we're doing right now is we're just essentially trying to get rid of all the noise, while at the same time is we're trying to maintain all of the details in the photograph. So once we've done that, let me try to even bring the shadows up a little bit more, and just so I can get rid of some of the more details, I should say the noise and the shadow areas. And once you're satisfied with it, you just click on OK. So now, even though the noise is gone, I can't really see it because it's very dark. So it's now time to jump into Topaz Adjust and brighten it up so we can see exactly what just happened to our photograph. So here we are under the global adjustments where it says adaptive exposure. This is where you just crank it up. I'm going to bring it up to about there, and that's when we finally actually get a chance to see our image. Now, I can see that I've done maybe just a little too much for my noise reduction. On my regular demonstrations that I do at the trade shows, I have a preset where I had set that up a little better. But essentially, this is where we were a few seconds ago. We were a very, very dark photograph, and here's where we are now, where we try to expose it. And when you do spend the necessary time in actually getting rid of the noise properly within the controls, you're going to get this really wonderful image, as you see right here, where all of the details and little bumps and rivets in the tablecloth, along with all the other details in the pizza, show up. Now, the real question is, what are we going to do with all of this extra f-stops? Essentially, we've given you about 3 to 4 extra f-stops in your photography that just suddenly drops out of the sky for free. You know, it's got some, yeah, go ahead, you have a question? Yeah, it's got some pretty powerful applications, you know. So I usually like to talk about some of the classic problems in photography. This is a very typical thing that happens if you're in front of the Eiffel Tower. Is mostly it's overcast in front of the Eiffel Tower, or I should say behind the Eiffel Tower. So when you take a photo, all you get is a silhouette of the Eiffel Tower. And we all know that turning on the flash or having reflectors isn't going to really help us light up the Eiffel Tower. So let me show you exactly how you're going to do this using Topaz. And this time around, I'm going to try to do it actually right here within iPhoto. Now you notice that even though we are in iPhoto, we have access to a an application called Topaz Labs Fusion Express 2, which allows me to actually jump right into any one of the Topaz products, even though I'm in just iPhoto. So here we are with our silhouette, and there's two different ways that people usually use Topaz. I would say probably about 80% of our customers will go over here to the left-hand side, and they'll just click on a preset, and immediately they get results. So if I try a different preset, obviously we're going to get different results there. And you'll notice that as you move your mouse up and down on the screen, the image in the upper left-hand corner changes to reflect exactly what that particular preset's going to do. So
preview.
Most people just like a very quick preview, and it just instantly shows you what's going to happen. Now, majority of the time, I should say, our more brave customers will jump into the sliders. And oftentimes people will use the sliders as, I should say the presets, as a starting point, and then they will use the sliders to modify what that preset was. Now keep in mind, this is where we're starting from, which is just a JPEG that I took still using my $100 Casio camera. In a moment we're going to show you what I do with my expensive cameras as well. But this is what we're getting right now. Just by playing around with the adaptive exposure slider, immediately we get results. The other thing that I noticed as I was playing with the sliders is I noticed that in the upper left-hand corner, I am picking up a little bit of noise. Now, since Topaz has been researching noise for a long time, it's easy for us to go under the noise suppression tab over here, turn on our Topaz denoise technology, and bring it up just a smidgen. Maybe we should bring it up about there. And then 3, 2, 1, and the noise is going to disappear from our photo as well. So essentially, as far as the before and after goes, we started out with a photo that looked like a silhouette, whereas now it looks like an HDR photo, even though it's not HDR. Now, I said that I would show you what happens with a nice camera. So here's what happens when you bring out a DSLR. This is a single shot, no tripod, and the only thing you want to do is make sure you expose for the brights. And the misconception is if you did this, then all the information that's down here would just be too dark and it would be unusable. When in reality, everything that's down there is noise. And we've shown everybody that noise is actually really good data if you only know how to look at the noise intelligently and to actually derive real information from it. Now, since we are talking about noise, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Because I know you probably said this earlier, but I've been fighting trying to get people to come to the show by giving them the link. What program are you actually working in right now? Which one of the Topaz Labs ones?
Yeah. So what we did was when we went into Photoshop, we first used Topaz denoise, and then we used Topaz adjust to brighten it up and to get that real cool HDR effect from it.
Okay.
So those are the two products, and we did it actually from two different host applications. The first one was Photoshop, and the second one was iPhoto. And for the Mac listeners, they know that iPhoto is free on every Mac, and it's kind of nice to be able to work with Topaz technology right inside of iPhoto. That a lot of Mac customers.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, since we're talking about noise, let me show you another good example of noise. This is another very typical problem that you see when you shoot in a museum, where they ask you not to use a flash. So your ISO goes up, which means not only do you end up with all the noise and the grain, nowadays you even end up with these lines that run horizontally across the screen. And that's called banding noise. So once again, right from within iPhoto, let's go into Topaz denoise, which is right there. And you can see that immediately on the left-hand side, again, we've got all of our presets. Usually what I do is I'll just click on a preset and I'll just make my way down. Like if I keep going, let's say to a moderate one. The moderate one looks pretty good. Let's go a little bit stronger. Now strong might be a little too much. Let's go back just to moderate, right? And at this point, if I wanted to add any extra functions to this, I noticed that I still have these lines that are running across the image, even though the noise is gone. So by turning on the horizontal and the vertical debanding, we notice that those lines are going to disappear as well. And then finally, we can recover some extra details here. So essentially, what we used to have was this image right here, which was very, very noisy. And now, not only have we gotten rid of the noise, we've even been able to actually bring back some of the details that were hidden here from some of the carvings that are on the side of the stone. So again, there's the before, there's the after, and that's a quick example of how severe noise can be even tackled with using Topaz denoise. Now, since
I just want to say, I know noise is one thing that's hard to demonstrate in a viewing like this because of the compression that happens over the internet. So
yeah,
you know, for guys out in chat, if you didn't really notice a lot of it going on there, you know, Tim and I probably noticed a little bit better than what you did. But you can also download the denoise thing for a trial and try it out yourself and see what it does.
Absolutely, yeah. I urge you to try it. It's the most amazing noise reduction I've ever seen in my life. So as far as the before and after, this is the before, and that's the after right there, after you use Topaz denoise. And this is one of the other ways we give you about 3 to 4 extra f-stops, is obviously by knocking out the noise, you can have so much more light sensitivity coming into the camera. Right. Since we're talking about dark, there's the opposite problem that happens as well whenever things are bright. So in this case, if things go above like white, it's like totally blown out,
yeah,
I'm afraid there isn't anything that we can do for you. But even if there is the slightest amount of information, Topaz is really famous for giving you more colors and more contrast and more details than you've ever thought was possible, even from the blown out areas. In fact, the example that I showed earlier with the Eiffel Tower really highlighted that as well, and that's how we got some more details out of the clouds, even though at the same time we were brightening up the Eiffel Tower as well. So now that we've looked at the problem of either overexposure or underexposure, this brings me to another one of my favorite problems, and this problem is the blur problem. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the demo. What I'm going to do here is zoom in like they do at the CSI shows.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, that can't, I didn't think that was real.
And the guy in a CSI show says, enhance. And you can magically read the license plate, and there's always a meow sound effect, you know.
Tim will make that sound effect for us.
Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, we can't read the license plate. You know, it's just too blurry, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do at this point is, once again, even though we're in iPhoto, let's jump into now our Topaz in focus. One of the things that I love about Topaz is we give you a lot of technology which is automatic. Like if you look at the right-hand side, you'll notice that where it says blur type, it can either be out of focus, it could be motion, or you can even say unknown, which means the only software with an I don't know button. I don't know what makes it blurry. Now, usually what we do is we crank it up about halfway. I'm going to estimate that the blur radius is about 5 pixels in radius, and here is where you click on the estimate blur button. So the computer figures out how it got blurry, and then it just fixes it, which means now I can read, the license plate reads PJ2DX, which is in the original photo.
Wow.
You can barely make out the letter P. Right? Now, if you zoom out, it will actually do the entire photograph. So in the original photograph, we really couldn't see what the bad guy looks like, whereas now we realize that.
Well, I'm actually going to believe what they show on CSI now.
I know.
That actually worked.
I know CSI is true. You know, now what's happening is that I do hope that the listeners and the viewers don't really have photos that are this blurry. But let me show you another classic problem of blur that happens in photographs. Oftentimes, blur will happen only in a small part of a photograph. It won't happen across the entire image. So in this case, in this portrait, when I zoom in, you probably can see that one eye is in focus, while the other eye, unfortunately, is out of focus. And oftentimes this will happen when you have two people might be standing in front of one another in a portrait where one person is in focus and the other person is slightly out of focus. And people always thought there was no solution to this. Well, I'm very happy to say there is a solution. And here's the way you do it. We're going to just draw a marquee. And right now we are in Photoshop. You can do this in Photoshop Elements. It's wonderful. You draw a marquee around the area you want to fix. And under Filter, you're going to access Topaz in Focus, the same way that we did before with the license plate. And so now you'll notice that once again, when I click on the Estimate Blur button, it figures out how it got blurry, and it just fixed it, which means this is what it used to look like, where it was blurry. And now I can actually see individual strands of the eyelashes. And by the way, if I notice any kind of artifacts in the sharpening process, or I should say the de-blurring process, I can always go over here with the suppress artifacts. I can bring that up just a little bit more, and it's going to soften that up just a bit more. It makes it more natural. And at this point, you click OK. So as far as before and after goes, this is what it used to look like, where one eye was blurry, and now both eyes are in focus. I will zoom out of that here for you. So again, you can see that this is where we were, and here's where we are now. And it's been a very natural fix that's allowed both eyes to come into focus.
Wow.
All right. So that's for our in-focus technology. And I really use it on just about every photo you can imagine because regardless of how much you might think that a photograph is in focus, we all know that all photos actually are out of focus. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to show you one more thing. Recently, I've gotten into this kick of what I like to call garbage photography, mainly because I really enjoy the texture. I like the texture of things that usually people would not photograph. Like, for example, why would anybody photograph a toilet? Well, I do because it should hang in a modern art museum. You know? So when you look at the before version of the photograph, it's just kind of like, you know. Whereas you look at the after version, you're like, ooh, that's neat, you know. Same thing applies with this photo of some eggs that are boiling in a pot. You know, why would anybody ever do that? Whereas when you look at what we do here with Topaz detail, all of this wonderful detail comes out of it. It looks like a work of art.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's essentially what happens. Light comes in through your lens, regardless of how expensive your lens is, the light is going to blur. And even when the light actually hits your sensors, the sensor itself, along with the electronics that's in the sensor, even slightly blurs your images as well. And this is what we try to do on the right-hand side to be able to recover all of the missing details using Topaz Detail. So I'm going to do that for you right now. Let's actually show you exactly how Topaz Detail works. There's a photograph that one of our users sent us from Australia, which is this seahorse right here. And jump into Topaz Detail. Let's do that one right there. And I am going to zoom in on it. And again, you notice that it's always the Topaz interface has got the left side where you've got the presets, and on the right side you got the sliders. And I'm going to just zoom in really, really close so you can just admire this beautiful seahorse that's underwater photography. But now I'm going to open up your eyes so you can actually see the photograph. So here we go. Small details, medium, and large details. Aha! Now I can actually finally see. Which means in the original photo, you probably missed the fin that was on the side of his neck, whereas now you see that fin perfectly. And when you look at the snoot of our seahorse, in the original photo, I had missed all of the markings that are on the side, and I can now see
little hair.
You know?
I can even see little hairs on it or something.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I do recognize that what I'm doing here for you is very exaggerated, you know. But the reason why I do it is because I want to show you that regardless of how much you push this, you're never going to get any like halo artifacts or fringing or double-edged problems. All you get is this really beautiful enhancement of the texture of the photography that's there. Now, obviously, if you're photographing the ladies, you don't want to use this, you know.
Right.
So
right. You don't want to show all the pores.
Little pore and wrinkle amplified. When it comes to photographing the ladies, I recommend another one of our technologies.
And hey, before you go to that, I want to do one of our giveaways right now.
Sure, go ahead.
So we got 3 of them, and I do want to say that I already know who the winner of the plug-in bundle is, and you're in the chat right now. So whoever's in chat right now, make sure you hang out to the end, because although you don't have to be here to win, I see you out there in chat. You'll want to be here. So let's do this. Let's give away. Which one did I have? Which one? You've gone over. Where's my list? You've gone over adjust already and just now detail, right?
Yeah.
So
with some denoise, with an in focus.
You just now did detail, so let's give that one away. Let's give detail away, and Greg, pick a number between 1 and 16.
15.
15. Tim Foster. Tim Foster,
right.
You out there?
Yes, he is. Wahoo!
All right. We got 2 more to give away. We got 2 more to give away live. Tim, send me an email at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com, and I will get you hooked up with Nicole from Topaz Labs, and she'll send you the link. So we got 2 more to give away live, and we still have the big one, the plug-in bundle to give away. And like I said, the winner is out there in chat right now, so make sure you don't leave.
All right.
All right. Sorry, Greg. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So since we talked about like accentuating details and sharpening and adding details, let's now talk about the opposite scenario where you want to photograph the ladies and you want to be able to smooth them out, give them a better complexion. Now she's really beautiful right off the bat, but a couple of problems here with her makeup. She's got a couple of bumps here on her cheeks, bumps here on her forehead. And we want to be able to smooth all that out and make a more appealing portrait photograph. So this time around, I am going to do this in Photoshop, just to show you, again, a variety of different interfaces that you can use for Topaz. And I'm also going to duplicate this layer as well. So Control-J or Command-J duplicated the layer. And let's go into Topaz Clean. All right. Again, the similar interface of the presets on the left, sliders on the right. I'm going to just click on one preset, Skin Even. And already I can see that it's doing a pretty amazing job of trying to smooth out her skin. Now, I will make a couple of tweaks over here. First of all, as far as the textures goes, I'm going to bring the textures actually down just a little bit. And let's get a little more color out of it also by bringing the radius down. And as I go before and after, I'm pretty satisfied with the way that it's cleaning this up. I'm just going to click OK. And the only thing that I know is problematic about what just happened is that some of the detail areas, like the eyes, are being cleaned up too much. So at this point, usually I can either use a layer mask or I can just use the eraser. So let me grab my eraser and I'll bring back, pardon me, let me do that here from undoing that. Did I just undo that the wrong way? Let me go all the way back to the point where I can actually see the edit that we just made. Let me step forwards and zoom back out. Aha, okay. Let me step forward one more time. Step forward again. No, I guess for some reason I lost that particular step. So let me just run my Topaz Clean one more time. So that way you'll be able to see, oh, so it's even using the one that I just punched a hole through. So I'll just delete that layer completely. And we'll just duplicate that again. Sorry about that.
That's right.
So this time around, since it remembers whatever we had done on the last time, it's just going to apply that. All we have to do now is just click OK, and there it is. Okay, it's been applied. So now, as I zoom in, let's grab the eraser and bring back some of these details. Aha, there we go. Okay, maybe that was a little too much there. Let's bring back the eyes. Let's bring back the other eye here as well.
And you're doing this on a layer in Photoshop, so you can also play with the opacity. Too,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. In fact, in a moment, we will play with the opacity, and I'll give you a little before and after here as well, so you can see where the image was when we started and where we are now. Now, the hair, definitely we want to clean up the hair, so let's bring back some of the details of the hair here. And let's also take the opacity, exactly like what Mike was saying, and pop that down just a tad here. Maybe about there should be good. Okay, so again, this is what it used to look like. This is the before photo, and there's the after.
Can you zoom in on her face a little bit more?
Let me zoom in on her face just a little bit so you can see that better.
Yeah,
okay.
then
I'm going to take that opacity up just a tad bit here. Okay, so once again, this is what it used to look like. Okay, and this is the after. So we're essentially smoothing out any of the inconsistencies of color that she might have across her face. We're trying to smooth out some of the bumps. Now you're noticing that because I have taken that layer and I've brought it down to a certain extent, it is applying it in a subtle way. Now if I was to bring that up more, you can see that now the effect is definitely more dramatic than what we had done before. And people always talk about this. They argue amongst themselves about how smooth should a portrait be, I tend to be a little more towards the natural side of it. So that's why I'll clean up portraits just a slight bit, just to take out some of the inconsistencies. But that's essentially Topaz Clean. Now, what's really interesting about Topaz Clean is that oftentimes I'm using it for artistic reasons, which means that I'll exaggerate the effect. So here's what happens when you exaggerate. It gives you kind of like
plastic feel.
Yeah, it's like an airbrushed illustration, as if an artist has gone in there and has actually painted something up, in contrast to it looking like a photograph, which is what you see over here.
What's crazy is I already have a need case for that.
Yeah, it's actually really wonderful, and the kind of artistic stuff that I do with that. Now, since we're talking about art, I'll show you some of the art that I create using Topaz. And I usually joke in my demonstrations that this is an example of my fine artwork, when in reality, it's completely fake. Which means I took a picture of this guy in a costume party. If you ever see a Comic-Con, you'll see him walking around. He's awesome. Take a picture of him. He loves it.
Yeah.
So that's the photograph, and this is Topaz Simplify. And here's another example of Topaz Simplify along with some Topaz Clean. So the question is, how is this possible? How can we take any photo and make it look like any style of art we like? So for example, here's a photo there, and here's what happens when you start using Topaz Simplify and Topaz Clean. I'll zoom in on it here for you just so you can appreciate how much of a painting this looks like. It's really, really beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And let's jump into this and show you exactly how this is done. It's called Topaz Simplify, and we're going to do it here right in iPhoto. Okay, so I want you to concentrate actually on the Ferrari logo right now as I do this. So the Ferrari logo is right here in the middle. I'm only going to move one slider. Watch what happens to the Ferrari logo. Quick!
Oh,
wow, it just went away.
In fact, not only is the Ferrari logo gone, even the headlights that used to be here, they are gone as well. The computer right now is removing features based on size, based on how big something is on the screen. Which means if I take that slider and I move it further down, you'll probably notice that slowly the little yellow rectangle in the middle of the Ferrari is coming back. Whereas where is the horse? Well, the horse is obviously smaller than the size of that slider. And that's one of the reasons why the horse currently is gone.
wow,
So
that's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's actually really, really amazing. These are called scale space operators. And with one little slider, you can remove things like freckles and acne and scars and little pimples and stuff. It's really fun, a slider. And it's only one slider that you have to use to do all that. Now, since we're removing details from this photograph, let's also get rid of the color. And I'm going to make it really bright so it looks like I'm drawing on a piece of paper. In fact, you notice that now it kind of looks like shading that an artist would apply to a line drawing, okay? Which means if we're going to create a line drawing, all the way down the bottom where it says edges, let's turn on some black and white edges. We call them monochromatic edges, and let's crank it up. Okay, well, the edges are coming in, but unfortunately, the reflection areas right here, you see that? An artist would never draw those lines. So the folks at Topaz taught the computer how to ignore the lines that even artists would never draw. So we're done right now, which means that when we started, we had a photograph of a Ferrari, whereas now it looks like a pen and marker illustration.
Well, and that was pretty cool because you had it on half the car as well, so you could show like half the car being drawn with the car being built in its own right, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can actually go in there and literally apply the effect to half of it if you wanted to, because all of the latest Topaz technologies even allow you to mask out areas that you don't want to apply any effect to, right from within the plugin, which is really powerful. In fact, in a moment, I'll show that off as well. So here's what happens if you got, just want to do it like a pen and marker style. Obviously, you can leave out the shading, which makes only the lines appear, which is really cool. It gives you this really beautiful line drawing. And if you'd like to leave the colors in, so here's what it looks like with the colors in there. And just using Topaz Simplify alone will allow you to instantly create like an infinite amount of artistic styles. Most of them will happen with one click of the mouse. It's really a cool plugin.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's Topaz Simplify, which now leads me to the grand finale. And after the grand finale, I might throw in a few of our other plugins that are there.
Okay.
The finale is probably the most requested technology from Topaz Labs, and that is masking.
Oh,
so
yes.
we're gonna, oh, yeah,
how about before you do that, we do
Yes.
one more giveaway.
Go for it.
And let's do. Are you going to do black and white effects?
Yeah, I will. I will do black and white effects. Absolutely.
Right, so what was the one I first did, Tim?
The first one we gave away was detail.
Detail. Okay, so we're going to give away adjust now. All right. Between 1 and 19, Greg, pick a number.
1.
1. Bobby T. Bobby T, you out there? You have for these. You have to be here to win. So let's give Bobby a second to respond. Yeah, he's there. All right, Bobby, you win a Topaz Labs adjust. Send me an email at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. Right now, with the servers being down, I don't know if I get it. So you can also contact me through Facebook, but it will eventually come to me the other way. and I will send you the information on how to get that. And then we still have one more to give away, and we have the plug-in bundle to give away. Which, you know, the problem, Greg, is you're showing all these great things, and I'm wanting them all. So, so I'm probably gonna.
They actually work really well together.
I'm probably going to end up having
quite a bit of them.
I'm probably going to end up having to buy the bundle, which I think is $2.99 right now, and that's what we're going to give away later. And you're in live chat. The winner is, so make sure you stay. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Greg. Go ahead with masking.
Exactly. Topaz Remask. All right. So first, I'm going to spend 4 seconds masking the dog out of the background. It's got to be perfect. So usually I got some angry director that stands over my shoulder and counts me down. So I will be my own angry director as we do this. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, if that's really done, that would mean that that's the mask, that's the cutout. Click OK, and zoom in.
Holy crap!
That every little detail and all the hair. Yes, you just made yourself a perfect little cutout.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yes. Now, since we did this only in 4 seconds and nobody got a chance to really appreciate the user interface and how that's done, since I don't want to do a magic show here for you, let me actually show you exactly what's going on. Let me actually do it with, once again, this photograph, mainly because first I want to talk about some of the difficulties that are on this photograph. People might think that the photograph was an easy photograph to mask, when in reality there's a couple of challenges here in the photo. First, in the lower right-hand corner, you're probably going to notice that it's basically orange against orange. So the computer's going to have a hard time with that edge. Then as we go around the perimeter of the dog, we realize that there are completely different colors all around the dog. Some areas are dark, some areas are bright. There are some areas even that are blur against blur. But the computer is actually going to figure all that out. So let's go through this one more time. You're going to notice that on the right-hand side, I have a few layers. I'm going to get rid of some of these other layers just because they're unnecessary right now. For this particular mask, we have 2 layers. One of them is the dog, and the other layer is, of course, the flowers in the background that we want to put the dog on top of. So you select your foreground layer, and under Filter, pull down to Topaz Remask. Now, by default, Topaz is going to give you a thick blue brush, and all you want to do right now is cover anything that is difficult with the blue brush. And as you saw me do before, it took me about 4 seconds to do this quick outline around the dog. Once you have done that blue outline, then you want to grab your red bucket fill and fill in everything that's on the outside, and we are now ready for the masking process, which is going to do automatically. What you created now is called a tri-map. Tri standing for try or 3, because there's 3 colors here. There's the green that identifies the things you want to keep that are solid. Then there's the blue, which are the difficult areas that you want the computer to compute. And then finally red, which identifies the background. And those are 100% the areas that you do not want in your mask. So once you've created this tri-max, you click on the Compute Mask button, or you can just hit Enter on the keyboard, and ta-da! The magic mask appears on the screen. You can also look at the mask as a keep channel, and what that allows you to do is allows you to see actually what you're cutting out of its background. And one of the problems that I notice right now is that along the top, I could see that even if I put it into a dual view over here, in the original image there was black in the background, and some of those colors are right now bleeding along the edges of the hair. I'm sure you can see the darkening that's happening on the edges of the hair. Well, we've got a great solution for you when it comes to this color bleeding problem. It's right here at the bottom, and it's called Foreground Color. There's a recovery slider that you want to crank up all the way. And you can either do this in a quick artificial intelligence method, which we call the high quality mode, or I'm going to do this with the manual method, just to show you how cool this works. Watch. As you now brush across the background, notice that all of that color contamination just disappears.
Holy crap.
And I'm going to just come around the edges. Anytime I see anything that's unnecessary, all I'm doing right now is just clicking, and it is getting rid of any of the problems there. Sometimes I'll look at the mask, and I can see that in the original photo where that blurry areas was, well, there might be a little bit of discrepancy there. So just by clicking on that, now it's giving me like a perfect transition or a blur blend that's happening between the dog and the background. And then finally, on the right side, I remember how I was talking about the area where it was orange against orange. And I can now see where, again, there's a problem where the computer is having a little bit of a difficulty there. And just by clicking on that area, that cleaned it up. And finally, here, where we have this dark black line touching the side of the dog, there's a little bit of a problem, and we just click on that, and that gets taken care of as well. So this is what happens when I really, really want to perfectly massage every aspect of the mask, just to make sure that all the details are absolutely perfect. And at this point, you click OK. And we're done. What it just did right now is that it created another layer for us automatically. So it's keeping the original layer, and there's the background layer, and obviously here's the mask. And just to show off, I'm going to zoom in a bit here, just to show you that if you look at the original photograph, you'll probably see that there's a piece of hair that is less than a pixel tall. And that's one of the reasons why this piece of hair right here is just barely blending into the background. And when you look at the after version, you'll notice that that piece of hair is still there.
Wow.
Which is just amazing. You know, that's really how we like to show off.
You could not do this by hand. It's impossible.
Oh yeah, it would be impossible to do by hand. You know, I should say it would be very time consuming by hand to do that. So it's a very, very powerful masking technology. And for those of you who are unaware of all of the benefits of masking, let me just quickly go through some of the things that I do with Remask. Now, the first obvious case of using Remask is a situation where you don't like the background, so you want to just drop it out. Sometimes the background might be boring, so you want to replace the sky maybe with some clouds in it. In this case, the wall in the background didn't make any sense. That's why we composited her in front of the road, so the road makes a little more sense for a motorcycle. In this example here, I'm using Remask to actually make the background go through Topaz Simplify. So it gives the background this very artistic kind of an effect. And probably my favorite example of them all is this example right here. First, I photographed my hand. If you wondered what my hand looks like, there it is right there. Then a photograph of actually a stadium right here in Los Angeles. I kind of got those two slides mixed up, so let me reorder those slides. There we go. So you can see this is the Staples Center right here in Los Angeles. And by putting that photo into our lens effects filter, you can see that how the background and the foreground has magically gone out of focus. This is kind of like a tilt shift effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it look like a miniature. And because it did look like a miniature, that's why I stuck my hand in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I tell the ladies, you know how difficult it is to make those little tiny basketball players? You know, so one of our customers got inspired by that photo, so he went ahead and he took this photo here, and then he stuck his hand in there too. You know, and this is really the kind of fun that you can have when masking becomes so quick. Is that normally people that use Photoshop are always afraid of masking because they know it's going to take forever for them to get like a comfortable mask. Whereas when you know that it's easy, then you can do great things. Here's another photo. Came from Layer Cake, actually, this photo here. I love the cowboy and a horse, but it needed to be a little more Hollywood. You know. So again, took about maybe 3 minutes to mask out the cowboy and a horse out. Even the ground has been masked out as well. And you drop in a beautiful Layer Cake cloud back there, or the sky, and you get this really beautiful, dramatic silhouette. All right. Now, since we've talked about masking, and you've seen some of the applications of it, Mike had asked about black and white effects. Let me do one more thing before we jump into black and white effects. And this is, once again, something that I normally don't showcase in our demonstrations at the trade shows, but I would love to show it to you here now because we do have the time. And this is going to be Topaz DJPEG. DJPEGing has become a prominent problem right now, mainly because a lot of times people will upload photos to Facebook, and they notice that Facebook will actually add another layer of JPEG compression. Mm-hmm. And then later on, people pull photos off of Facebook, and they realize that it's not the photo they had started out with. And this one is pretty extreme. I took that JPEG slider and I brought it all the way down to 0 to be able to create this particular image right here. Now, DJPEG was actually designed for professional photographers with DSLRs that like to shoot JPEG, but they would love to have the quality of RAW come out of it. So DJPEG works great in those circumstances as well, and it works great in this example here. Okay, we got the problems of the blockies and the color problems bleeding into each other, and you click one click on one of those presets and it's already done. So this is the before, where we can see the yellows bleeding into her skin tones, and the computer's trying to smooth all that out. We can even see the pinks and the purples that are across that band there as the computer tries to repair that. As we go across the face, once again, big blocks everywhere, and now the computer tries to repair that, so we can actually see her lips better. And as we come down here to her eyes, it's really crunchy with the JPEG artifacts, and this is what happens now when Topaz the JPEG cleans it up. Now we're really zoomed in right now, so if I zoom out as far as the before and after, this is what it used to look like, where we got all the crunchy artifacts, whereas now it's trying to do the best that we can to clean that up. And that is Topaz the JPEG.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's now not forget black and white effects. Black and white effects has been a surprising runaway hit for Topaz Labs. You know, it's the kind of thing that we never thought it would be as popular as what it really is. And to sum up black and white, it just so happens that there are certain photographs that just want to be black and white. You know, and every photographer that's ever done a black and white conversion can attest to this fact. There's just some photos that when they're in color, they don't work as well, and when they become black and white, for some reason they work better, and it's more dramatic, sometimes nostalgic, but it's really powerful. And the idea here is to create something that is going to be beyond a color photograph. Now, first let me do it here with this photo that I've already slightly modified. This is from one of the famous telephone booths in London. Okay, so we're going to go into black and white effects. Here it is coming up. This is the latest version of black and white effects that we just introduced a short time ago. And as always, on the left-hand side, you have the presets. One of the nice things about the new black and white effects is that you'll notice that as you move your cursor across the presets, you actually see this really large preview window that pops up along the side of it. So if there's a certain particular effect that you like, all you're going to do is just click on it, and immediately that gets applied to the image. Or another one of my favorite ways of using it is just clicking on this little grid, which brings up this grid view of all the presets that are in that particular category. So you can just go in here now and click on one of them, and there it is again. You got that beautiful
nice.
preset applied, right? Now, one of the nice things about black and white effects is what happens when you want to add just a slight touch of color into any one of these. Let me just go into one of these over here. And I want to add just a little touch of color right into the telephone booth itself. Okay? Here's the way we do it. It's called local adjustment. And we're going to choose the color controls over here. And let me take the brush size and make it rather large, and we're going to make the brush rather hard as well. The biggest innovation in what we do with local adjustment is a function that's called edge-aware brushes. Now you're going to notice I'm going to take that edge-aware really far up, and the reason why it's called edge-aware is because, are you ready for this? Here we go! In fact, let me make my opacity be a little more just so you can see that better. You can see that the computer actually is smart enough so it never bleeds out of the edges. You know,
Nice.
So as you're brushing across here, the little touch of color is only being applied to the area you brushed in. Now, if I ever see that that mask over here might have accidentally spilled out, you can always take the eraser, which is right here next to it. I can actually erase that down. And again, even the eraser is edge aware. So very quickly, we've added just a little touch of color only into the area that we wanted to, while the rest of the image has maintained that sepia tone.
And by using opacity, you can adjust the amount of color that's coming through, right?
Yeah, exactly. By using the opacity, you can. And also, opacity is a great way of kind of like layering an effect on top of each other. So if the opacity is down and you want to just lightly brush in maybe color, you could do that too. You know, to maybe do a little spot color that way. Since we were talking about what happens with certain photos that just want to be black and white, here is a photo that my buddy Ivan took. Here's this right there. And what I like about the photo is I like the characters, I like their costumes, but as a color photograph, it lacks contrast. The chain link fence definitely doesn't work back there for me. I think we can do some magic in black and white effects. So here we go. Once again, even though I am in iPhoto, we jump into black and white effects. So it prepares our presets for us. And this time, instead of doing a something that's going to be like an old sepia tone. Let's do something that is a little better than that. Let's try something like one of my favorites. These are the infrared ones over here. This is the latest version, so from my old collection, I'll probably find my toned collection. Ah, there we go. Here's what I wanted. I love selenium. It's probably selenium is one of my favorite presets that I like to use. Selenium is kind of a bluish, purplish, black and white conversion.
Okay.
So as I zoom in, I can see that like just immediately, it's a pretty cool conversion. But we want to definitely get more contrast and deeper shadows, deeper darks from the image. Here's the way you do it. Under adaptive exposure, let's bring that up. So now immediately I can see that I'm creating a more contrasty image. And let's take the shadows and knock those down a bit, so we're getting some darker shadows from it. But I'm really interested in this gentleman's beard. I can see that in the original photo, in the color version, the beard is lacking a lot of contrast and detail. But let's add in even more. And the way you're going to do this is, again, by jumping into that local adjustment, I can now this time choose our detail controls. Now you saw me use Topaz detail across an entire image, whereas now we're going to be using detail more like a brushed in effect. So let's make the opacity really high, and all you're going to do now is just brush that in. Okay, and you can immediately see that anywhere I brush, I can see the channel here, the mask channel for that effect. Let me zoom out just slightly here. For his musical instrument, as I brush that in, now I get all this beautiful detail on the side of his musical instrument. But once again, in the original, it was like totally lacking contrast and detail. And then finally, as we're looking across the entire image, I was talking about that chain link fence before. I love the finishing touches that Topaz gives you here. So let's go ahead and open up the finishing touches. And under the vignette, you can either make your vignettes in Topaz be bright, which in this case is going to be a little too dreamy for me, or we can go the other way, making it a little dark. Let's click on the center to be around our two characters. Right about there should be good. And let's make the vignette size a little bit more so we get more of our characters. And we'll darken up the surroundings just a little bit more here as well. So we're trying to get rid of any of the chain link fence that might have been getting in our way. So essentially, since I'm done right now, this is the before version of the photograph, and there's the after. So we've added a little drama, and we brought our attention to the characters in the photograph.
Completely different photograph.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
you know,
it is. Very, very different.
there's been a lot of comments. Greg, there's been a lot of comments out in chat with people just in awe of what you've been doing. But one of the ones recently was, "This is exactly why I never delete any of my photos." Someone said, because you a shot like this, you might have said, "There's nothing special here." You put it away, but software like Topaz Labs comes along and can rescue photos that you didn't think were usable before.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, we hear that from a lot of our customers. I think that's such a wonderful statement. And I'll show you a couple of images that really speak to me, and as far as that goes. And if you look at this image here, this is Bob Towery. He probably has one of the best examples of this kind of stuff. You look at the image on the left-hand side, you're like, okay, and then suddenly you look at the image on the right side after Topaz adjusts, and you're like, wow. And that's a cool photo, and this goes on, and that's one of the reasons why people say Topaz is more addicting than crack cocaine.
Yeah, and
just can't stop using it,
So let's go ahead and give away the black and white one now that you just went over.
Yes.
So we'll give that one away, and then all we have to do after that is announce the winner of the bundle. But we're going to do a little bit more before we do that. So Greg, pick a number between 1 and 17.
2.
Oh, 2. Scott Green, you're out there, otherwise known as Chuck Norris runs when Scott Green signs in. That's what his name is in chat.
SGP steps in.
All right, Scott, you won the black and white effects. So send me an email at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. Hopefully the server will be up before long. And I will contact you. I know how to get in touch with you also with how to get that information. Tim, are you keeping notes on who won each thing?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Because if they don't contact me, I'll have to contact them after a little bit. We still have to announce the winner of the overall bundle. And it was a question on how much these things cost. So I wanted to show, before we go to the next thing here, Greg, let me find my mouse. I wanted to show something real quick. So I think Gina Gina Perry
I think I'm going to be
asked
spending a lot of money today.
how much these things cost. So they are a little bit different. So the bundle was $299, and then you've got I'm pointing with my finger, which is going to do you no good.
Would you like for me to bring up the sheet from Topaz Labs' website?
Actually, I'm on their website right now, so you probably can't
okay.
see it, but I have it pulled up in chat. So the bundle is $299. Black and white effects is $60, and I'm rounding these things off.
Yeah.
Lens effects, which I think you did with the little thing you did with the Stadium, and yeah,
didn't go into the interface, but yeah,
right.
we showed
you showed some results of it. You didn't go in the interface. That's $80.
Yeah.
Adjust is $50. Denoise is $80. Star effects, which you didn't go over, is $30. So it looks like the most expensive outside the bundle is $80. All of them are $80 or less. Let me go down to the bottom to make sure I'm right.
Yeah. They're anywhere between $30 to $80.
Yeah, in something like clean, you went over clean, $30.
Yes.
Detail $40. The mask program, $70. So these are in Simplify. I think you went over Simplify also.
Yes.
$40. Very, very. And the Focus one, $70. So very reasonable prices there, and you get the whole group. Which, let's see, I think it's saying if you bought them individually, it'd be $550. But if you bought the bundle, it's $300. So not bad at all for these things. And you can download any one of them and do a demo of them before you want to buy. So you can try it out, see that they're as easy as Greg showed. And Greg is experienced with using these, so it may take you a little bit to get up to his level.
Right.
But you can play around with it before you have to buy it.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is a key point about all of the Topaz products is not only are there tutorial videos on our website, but even on YouTube. If you do a search for any of the Topaz products, you'll find great tutorial videos, some of which I've created, others have been created by Dr. Albert Yang, who's the developer of all this wonderful technology, and Nicole. So that's probably the best way to learn it. So if you ever download any of these things and you get tired of just clicking on presets and you want to really jump in, definitely check out the videos.
Okay. Very good. All right. Did you have anything else to go over? Or do you want to do questions now?
Yeah, let's do questions.
All right. So I know, generally, Greg, I'm sorry, I keep better track of people asking questions during the show, but I was so into what you were doing and in awe of what you were doing that guys out in chat, I'm sorry I missed probably all of your questions.
And they were flying by anyway out there.
So ask them again. And the first question here is, how long has Topaz Labs been doing, how long have they been in business, I think is what she's trying to say.
I want to say that I started with Topaz Labs over 5 years ago. Topaz Labs as a company, I think, has been around for a little over 7 years, perhaps.
Okay.
When they first started, and they started doing actually video products. They had a product called Topaz Enhance, which is really a revolutionary video enhancement technology and an upreser and a denoiser for video, which currently no longer exists. But then soon afterwards, they transitioned into the photography market, and they've been in the photography market for the last, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years.
Okay. You mentioned it, Mike Howard. That's why I bought 2 of them. I'm not sure. So what other questions do you guys have out there in chat for Greg? Well, we got Greg here. And Greg, you do these demos in person, and I think Topaz Labs itself holds training seminars or training whatever webinars on a regular basis. That you are a part of also, right?
Yes, yeah, I do a lot of the webinars. So does Nicole. We're very blessed to have some of the most talented photographers in the world do webinars for us at Topaz Labs. So if you catch any of the webinars every week there are 2 webinars. There's one that happens, I believe, on Tuesday. Sometimes that moves around, but then there is a quick tip Thursday, which is a webinar that's about half an hour long, where we just show a quick tip with what you could do with Topaz, and they're very informative. And if you ever miss any of those webinars, they end up on YouTube as well. Okay.
And Gina Perry out there in chat asked her, I think she came in late, probably because of the server problems we were having. But Gina, these products are compatible with Lightroom, Photoshop Elements, You were using a lot tonight. You were using iPhoto, which is of course for the Mac. So
Yes.
there's an Aperture, I believe, too, which is like a
Yes.
Lightroom on the Mac side. Yeah, so it's compatible with a lot of that different stuff.
How often do you have upgrades that go out, and are they included in the price, or is it a new purchase price, I guess?
Yeah, no, well, I'm very happy to say that in the last 6 years that I've been with Topaz, Topaz has never charged a penny for an upgrade. That's really, really amazing. I don't know if that's going to change or not, but the current policy of Topaz Labs is the upgrades are free. And what that means is if you had purchased, for example, Topaz Adjust, when we first released it 4 to 5 years ago, there are people that download the latest version completely free of charge. As far as how often they happen, there is new software that Topaz puts up as far as updates, probably once every 3 weeks. So very regularly, the software is being updated. There are either new technologies that are being introduced or bug fixes. But we're very animately, constantly working on the software.
So here's a good question, and the questions are coming in now. So a lot of the things you did tonight were on JPEG, or some of the things you did tonight were on JPEGs. What if I only shoot RAW? Will this work with my RAW photos and leave the RAW file untouched? So I don't want to overwrite my RAW file with these adjustments. Right.
Yeah. No, we do actually. All of the technologies of Topaz Labs operate on images at either 16 bits per channel, or they operate on the images at 8 bits per channel RGB, which means that if you use a product like Lightroom or Photoshop, let's say, for example, you use Lightroom. So Lightroom does an amazing job making sure that your original photo is always kept, so that you never get rid of your original photo.
Right.
So yes, first of all, your original photo is never going to go away. Second, Topaz is going to operate on all of your pixels at that 16 bits per channel integrity. In fact, it internally operates on everything at floating point, which is at 32 bits per channel. So it's very, very, very accurate in what it does. And so the resulting image that you get out of Topaz has that 16 bit per channel bit depth. So it's designed for professional photographers for professional results.
Okay. And, you know, all these different programs we said it worked in, Photoshop, Lightroom, iPhoto, all those. When you buy, let's say you buy the lens or anything, Adjust, will that one program work in all those things, or am I going to need to buy a separate program for Photoshop?
That's a great question. Yeah. When you buy that once, it works in everything.
Awesome. Yeah, I know there's some packages I buy that I have to make a choice, either the Photoshop version or the Lightroom version.
Right.
But you're saying that the one version will work in all those.
Yes, it does. Works everywhere.
That is awesome. That right there alone will save you money, because I know Scott Green out there in chat and some other people love working in Photoshop. I like working in Lightroom, but I do go over the Photoshop sometimes. So having the ability to go back and forth and still use the Topaz Labs software is just amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So what other questions did I miss?
One other question in regards to the upgrades also. How difficult is it to upgrade, and is it something you have to look for, or is it something that's automatic within the program that it would update it?
Well, every time you buy a copy of Topaz, Topaz has your email, so they will send you out an email informing you that there's an upgrade available. So you'll definitely know that there is an upgrade available. Sometimes the software packages within themselves will show you that there's an upgrade available. It's as easy as downloading just one file. So let's say, for example, if Adjust was updated, you download that Adjust file, you run it, and so now when you go into any of the host programs, like be it Photoshop or Lightroom, now you're going to see the new version of Adjust.
That's great.
I gotta check and make sure. I gotta check and make sure my wife is not listening before I say this. Yeah, she's not listening. Anybody who knows her out there, don't tell her this. I'm gonna have to buy the bundle.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's very powerful stuff.
It is amazing. All right, so let's get to it. Let's go ahead and announce the bundle winner, Tim. You ready for that?
That would be me. That's me.
You know, you and I can't win.
I have to quit the show. I really do.
You have to quit the show. All right, who's ready? Yeah, Mike, me too. Jill V. So my wife's name was Jill. So Jill V, when I first saw your name there, I thought, oh boy, maybe she is out there. Okay, so the winner of the bundle is. Do we have like drum roll or something, Tim?
You're gonna make me look for this quickly.
This is not a random number pick. There, Chuck Norris, Scott Green. This is you had to sign up through the giveaway package, and like Topaz Labs, and we were mentioning before while Tim's looking for that. We're mentioning before how they do all these webinars and everything like that. They do announce a lot of those on their Facebook page, so you can go there and get updates on when they're going to have the next one.
Yeah, and our Facebook page is really active. I'm always blown away by all the amazing photographers that post some of their work on our Facebook page.
And I think
definitely, like us on Facebook and go there and hang out there for some amazing stuff. There's announcements about, Topaz discount codes and just about everything, webinars, you name it.
And they're telling me to stop stalling. I'm waiting for Tim to get the drum roll. The winner is Terry Chapman. Terry Chapman, you still out there? Yeah, I
hope
guess
with all that they're there.
TP Chap. Yep, and Terry Chapman is the winner. Terry, you email me at podcast@jpeg2RAW, and then I will get in touch with Nicole, and she will give me the details on how you can get that. Congratulations. I know there's several people who probably feel like me, super jealous of Terry. I wish I could have that package.
Oh my God.
I'm going to have to end up buying it myself.
I have a feeling I am too.
I went into the show tonight thinking I'm going to pick one or two of these. That's what I'm going to end up buying. And every time,
the problem
Greg,
is by the time you get through, you probably want 2 or 3 or 4, and then you're just better off buying the bundle. That's
every time Terry, I'm telling your wife now, Gina's out in chat says, every time, Greg, you would show another package, I'd say, okay, that's going to be the one. Okay, that's going to be the one. And then when you got to I think by the time you got to the mask one, I just said, that's it. I'm just going to have to buy it.
Yeah, remask, I think, is a definite.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Thank you.
Well, Terry, congratulations. Scott Green, Tim Foster, and Bobby T, congratulations on all that. Make sure you guys all send me an email. I've been watching the server through Twitter and watching person after person after person as they found out their server is down send interesting notes through Twitter to DreamHost, which apparently means it's not up still. But I'm glad that we had this alternative where we had a good number of people come over into Livestream, actually the Livestream account, and get it over there. We, of course, are recording this so you can get it later. I know Gina was a little late getting in here. Some people were a little late because of everything that was going on. You can obviously get this later in the recorded version also, which, the way you guys had to watch it was probably a little bit compressed more so than usual. And I wanted to show you what we did with the live pages, but you can't see it. Joe V, I have it recorded, so you'll be able to watch it later. Greg, did you have anything else? I see you pulling other things up that look very interesting.
No, I'm just looking through some of my photos, It's,
Well, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that Greg and I had about an hour-long pre-show. And Greg, I put it on our Facebook page. I'll have to post it again at some point. Greg has made several iPhone apps, right?
Yes.
He's got some really high-quality looking videos on YouTube. I mean, they look professionally produced and everything. And I asked him, who do you have shoot them? And he said he did. So yeah, you did a great job. But go. I'll put the link in the show notes and everything else where you can go and see the iPhone and maybe Android too. I know it's iPhone. Not sure if it's Android.
Yeah, both iPhone and Android.
And the Android apps that he has for sale, they actually, and the ones I know of, had nothing to do with Topaz Labs. Something completely different. But it's, Greg is a man of many skills, so it's interesting to see those videos and what he's got going on there.
Thank you.
Yep. Any last thoughts there, Greg?
No. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that the listeners have enjoyed it. Like I said before, Topaz is the kind of tool set that not only do I use every day, but everybody that in any way gets involved with Topaz, they swear by it. It's an indispensable tool set, and regardless of what kind of photographer you are, I think you'll find utility in it.
No, it is amazing, and they did enjoy it out in chat. I've been watching the comments go by about every time you would do something else, somebody would say "wow" or draw, jaw on the floor, that kind of thing. So great jobs, Topaz. Great job, Greg. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. Guys out in chat, I'm going to go ahead and end the live show, and we'll have a couple minutes of chat after that. And Tim, I'm going to try the closing again this week.
Okay, let's see if it goes.
Let's see. Gina said that I turned I turned red last week when I tried to say it, so I'm going to try to not turn red. All right. Until next week, keep it raw. There you go. Did I turn red, Gina?
You look fine.
All right, and I don't know what we're doing for next week. I'm going to have to figure that out. A little bit. Danielle said a little bit.